Let me give you one other example of the distinction between the consent-based aspect of obligations and the benefit-based aspect, and how they're sometimes run together. This is based on a personal experience. Some years ago, I was driving across the country with some friends, and we found ourselves in the middle of nowhere in Hammond, Indiana. We stopped at a rest stop and got out of the car, and when we came back, our car wouldn't start. None of us knew much about cars. We didn't really know what to do until we noticed that in the parking lot, driving up next to us, was a van, and on the side it said Sam's Mobile Repair Van. And out of the van came a man, presumably Sam, and he came up to us and he said, "Can I help you? Here's how I work. I work by the hour for $50 an hour. If I fix your car in 5 minutes, you owe me the $50. And if I work on your car for an hour and can't fix it, you'll still owe me the $50. So I said, "Well, what is the likelihood that you'll be able to fix the car?" And he didn't answer, but he did start poking around under the steering column. Short time passed. He emerged from under the steering column and said, "There's nothing wrong with the ignition system, but you still have 45 minutes left. Should I look under the hood?" I said, "Wait a minute. I haven't hired you. We haven't made any agreement." And then he became very angry, and he said, "Do you mean to say that if I had fixed your car while I was working under the steering column, that you wouldn't have paid me?" And I said, "That's a different question." I didn't go into the distinction between consent-based and benefit-based obligations. But I think he had the intuition that if he had fixed it while he was poking around, that I would have owed him the $50. I shared that intuition. I would have. But he inferred from that, this was the fallacy in the reasoning that I think lay behind his anger, he inferred from that fact that therefore, implicitly, we had an agreement. But that, it seems to me, is a mistake. It's a mistake that fails to recognize the distinction between these two different aspects of contract arguments. Yes, I agree, I would have owed him $50 if he had repaired my car during that time. Not because we had made any agreement, we hadn't. But simply because if he had fixed my car, he would have conferred on me a benefit for which I would have owed him in the name of reciprocity and fairness. So here's another example of the distinction between these two different kinds of arguments, these two different aspects of the morality of contract. Now, I want to hear how many think I was in the right in that case. That's reassuring. Is there anyone who thinks I was in the wrong? Anyone? You do? Why? Go ahead.
Isn't the problem with this is that any benefit is inherently subjectively defined? I mean, what if you wanted your car broken and he had fixed it? I mean...
No, I didn't want it broken.
Yeah, in this case.
Who would?